Today, 2nd of April 2015, is Thursday, almost afternoon, and CPTM Smart Partners Hub in London is trying to wind down for a few days, as everybody else I hope is, for the spring holiday, for the Easter holiday. And I would like on behalf of course, our team, the CPTM Board of Directors, but also on behalf of Permanent Secretary of Communication in Namibia, the PS, how it's called, the Smart PS, Mr. Meuta, and myself, and the whole Smart Partnership Hub team in Windhoek, in Namibia, would like to wish you all the best for Easter in the spirit of and the spell of inauguration of the new president in Namibia. All the best for the forthcoming holidays. Some people, like in Cyprus, may have the same holiday next weekend, but all the best from all of us. I would also like to actually, on behalf of JEG members, Joint Executive members, to congratulate one of our leading founder, the CPTM fellow, founder, the Prime Minister of Lesotho, Honorable Prime Minister Mosisili, CPTM fellow and companion. Like to wish him personally congratulations for leading again Lesotho, and of course all the best to Mrs. Mosisili, who is a CPTM founder, one of the founders of the Social Issues Group, and a CPTM companion. Among the Joint Dialogue conveners during the spiral in the last few years of the Smart Partnership International Dialogues in Lesotho, we had Mr. Sekamane, who was Joint Dialogue convener and became leading Joint Executive Group since. And currently, we understand he was also appointed as Minister of Foreign Affairs in the new cabinet of the Prime Minister Mosisili. And therefore, we also wish him all the best, and hopefully he will have a bit of time, personal time, to continue to be part of the joint executive group of the Smart Partnership movement. With that, I would probably try to say just a very few things which might help you to reflect during the various holidays and the free time that you might have, which is that a group of smart partners who have been identified and invited to be what is called advisory working group for the CPTM board had their first get-together and reflections, and there was a report which was made after that to the board a couple of weeks ago, which I would like to share with you. And it makes very interesting kind of reading, but the advisory group, of course, dealt with more the strategic points, strategic connections that could be made between the activities which are at the national level, that are taking place within the initiatives and all the rest of it, and the more global type of issues that the Smart Partnership movement during the dialogues and towards the dialogue or after the dialogues are able to pick up. And I would like to recommend to all of you, if you have time, to try to reflect a bit on the various points that people made, the advisory group members, and one of them says exactly that, and this is Professor Raymond Parson, our new smart partner from South Africa, who said, "I'd just like to make a strategic point about what might be done nationally." And that my concern, knowing the reality on the ground, is that once people do something locally, it then becomes a substitute for not doing the bigger thing. And we would much prefer to see that we could still globalize our smart partnership initiatives and not only break away at the national level. I mean, it might be inevitable, but I'm just concerned that in the real world, people might have appetite for one thing at the national or even at the kind of institutional level, but we as smart partners must try and see if we can deflect that. The reason why I chose this particular point is not because Raymond participated in the preparation or continue to do that of the Smart Partnership International Dialogue in South Africa, but because sharing with us his own reflections on the way since last year, very useful ones, but because the necessity of having a Smart Partnership International Dialogue for the Smart Partnership movement could not be made better, argued better than the points that he made, which is that the smart partnership initiatives in the national context, from the village, from the informal settlement up to the national level, they can only be valued and progressed through this cooperative networking, win-win based on limitless opportunities, if they are in the context of the overall smart partnership movement. Otherwise, they become only kind of parochial, and they won't go very far. Similarly, if there are only Smart Partnership International dialogues, they become conferences, and we have seen what has happened in the last few years with the idea that the Smart Partnership movement, international dialogues, was suggested that could take place every other 2 years or every other 3 years. That kind of rhythm and dynamics is valid only for conferences. Conferences that take place have their own value, but they are not actually smart partnership type of interaction at a more global level, which are required yearly. So during the spontaneous interaction that we had, I've been facilitated to have in Windhoek during the inaugurations of the new president with the CPTM fellows present. There was actually a remark made at a point of time that indeed the Smart Partnership International Dialogue must happen every year. And for instance, this year there was supposed to be, after the Smart Partnership International Dialogue in South Africa in 2014, to finish off the dialogue in Dar es Salaam. It was supposed to be in Malaysia, so we all knew that Global 2015 was in Malaysia this year. Well, obviously because the dialogue was from Southern Africa, in South Africa, was kind of the date put forward in April, like this month, but now it is deferred. The Global 2015 Malaysia will be at the beginning, probably the first part of 2016. But that doesn't mean that within Southern Africa, East Africa, and hopefully West Africa, a dialogue, a get-together of the Smart Partnership movement in 2016, hopefully by the end of it, will not take place. So it will have to take place and hopefully the Caribbeans also will be able to also get together during all these dynamics. So my remarks are made for the purpose of trying to engage all the smart partners in the smart partnership movement, both within the national context, but also not forgetting that the more global context, not global as global issues, but as an overall smart partnership movement, that has its own value, and that has to take care, to be taken care of. On that note, just wanted to tell you that we're trying to, as JG members to have an input, a final decision from the key CPTM fellows and Council of Patrons and Advisors, including the chair of the movement, during April, a final decision about a get-together in a smaller context of the key CPTM fellows, and by the way of a discussion about where we are and the finalization of the issues left to be followed in Dar es Salaam on leveraging technology for socio-economic transformation. So hopefully by the end of April, beginning of May, we will know the decision, and we will mobilize ourselves accordingly, while a number of national activities will take place. You have some various reading tips which are related to smart partnership initiatives, the national and the smart partnership overall context level, Commonwealth and beyond. And hopefully you'll find them very useful. And one of them I chose, I probably repeat that, was quite provocatively called the book How to Run a Government So That Citizens Benefit and Taxpayers Don't Go Crazy. Well, there is this idea that there are ways and means and rules through which one can deliver, and it makes an interesting reading, but as we know, delivery cannot take place unless it is a post office or pizza. Cannot take place unless there is engagement, and that's why what we're talking about is smart partnership type of delivery within a government which is continuously engaged in this type of smart partnership interactions to be able to facilitate delivery. And finally, there is quite a lot of buzz about big data, as we know, little data or no data at all, of course, because of the networked world that countries that we are living in, and be it informal settlements or be it kind of global context or the open source intelligence that we've been exposed to, the kind of issues that they are brought in 21st century, that means now. But the issue of secrecy, which is the issue of not just big data, little data, no data, but open data, is probably the most pragmatic way to approach all these issues that we are reading or we hear about. Recently, there was in Washington last week, that is, very interesting discussion, which in fact there was a bill which was passed in relation to science policy makers, and the bill is called the Secret Science Reform Act, and this came about because it was pushed through by Republicans in Washington, because they wanted to prevent particular interested groups in government on issuing regulations on the basis of information that has not been made public. In other words, secret science. The issue of open data and secrecy, both science or otherwise, it has to be one of the main issues that Smart Partnership Movement and Smart Partners will have to deal with. And were we to have had a dialogue as a movement, that would have been most likely one of the major attention given. And but we hope we will find ways and means to do justice to this issue and to drive various conclusions for pragmatic purposes. So once again, wish you all the best, and hope to hear from you as a feedback to what we put you forward.